Well, Newport County rooted at the bottom of League Two. They're not sitting on their hands, are they? Already announced a couple of signings in January, and I'll admit to being pretty excited, particularly about James Kroll, the attacker from Penny Bont. I know that the Welsh Prem compared to League Two is a big jump up, but when you watch Kroll and the amount of goals that he scored and the types of goals that he scored at that level, it's so clear that he was way too good for that level. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what his blend of physicality and ball striking comes to in League Two, because certainly Newport needed, or could certainly have done with, some extra firepower. We think they've got that. Then there's Nyakua on loan from Cardiff. We absolutely knew that Cardiff needed more options in the wide forward areas, because I think the 3-4-3 that we've seen in the last couple of games is a good way to go. I think it helps bolster the back line with the extra centre-back. I want to see consistency of selection in the back three and the back five. And then, of course, with only really Spellman and Camwer truly natural as wide forwards, they need some help. And I think Nyakua, from what we've seen in flashes for Cardiff and the Wales youth teams, should be able to provide some real quality in wide areas, which I think Spellman's particularly been struggling with recently in terms of goal and assist output. Delaney comes back in to bolster that back line, and that certainly can't hurt. He's someone that kind of has been there and done it at this level, but they're still missing the thing that I thought they needed the most when we talked about Newport County on the channel last, and that is legs in central midfield. It's partly because Sammy Braybrook got recalled and sent to Chesterfield, but even when Braybrook was there, that was still the type of player that I thought they needed the most. And they really, really need this. They need a tackler, a screener. They need physicality in the centre of the park, in front of that back four, in order to give them a platform to do some good stuff at the top of the pitch, in order for them to just be a little bit harder to play through out of possession and be better defensively as a result. Now, I am intrigued by Kieran Brennan being used there in the last game. Brennan's been an intriguing player for quite a while, and probably still yet to show consistently at senior level as a professional what his attributes suggest he might be able to bring if he ever gets a good run in a team and in a position that suits him. But I think he could offer a blend of physicality, ball winning ability, and he's decent enough on the ball. So I'm intrigued by that experiment. I'd like to see that continue. However, I do think there's probably another signing to be made. One that I think would be interesting, and this is a very extreme version of physicality and ball winning, and that is Nohan Kenneh of Tranmere. Now, at the start of the season, Kenneh was starting for Tranmere. He has recently very much lost his place in the team and fallen out of favour with Andy Crosby. The most minutes he's played since the end of November is 25 minutes in a league game off the bench, and he's been an unused sub 4 times in the last 6 games. So that, to me, suggests Tranmere would be pretty happy if someone came in and made an offer to take Kenneh off their hands. He is a hell of a kind of physical specimen in terms of covering ground, winning tackles. He is not very good on the ball, but with Smith in particular, Newport aren't missing technicians in midfield. They are missing someone with the physical and ball winning attributes of Nohan Kenneh. So he would be one that I'd look at pretty hard to try and get in and improve the obvious gap in Newport's midfield at the moment. I'd also be trying pretty hard for Ben Fuchs at Harrogate. Fuchs, I think, is a really, really good player. I don't particularly understand why he's been out of favour for Harrogate this season. They've preferred Bryn Morris, who obviously Newport fans know very, very well, and Jack Evans as well, who they signed over the summer from Halifax, who in fairness has done very, very well. But I would have expected Fox to be a bigger part of Harrogate's team. I think he's got a lot to offer a team at the bottom of League Two. He is a real kind of ratter in midfield, big ball winner type, works really, really hard for the team, not overly expansive in possession. I think basically the sort of player that Newport could really do with. So yes, Harrogate might not want to sell a player to a team that they're battling with for survival, but Ben Fox, Newport have got to be making inquiries to see if he's available for some, in some way. And then, of course, there is still a loan slot, maybe 2, that Newport could make use of. They should be using the example of Sammy Braybrook hard when they're pitching parent clubs for loanees, because Braybrook came from Leicester. He came with a big reputation. There'd have been some that thought Newport was maybe beneath him because of the quality that he had, which he proved. But I think the fact that Newport gave him that platform, gave him consistent minutes, and were able to show off his skills should be a reason for them to take someone else of that profile, and should be a reason that they can persuade clubs that they can, they are a good destination, even if they are scrapping for their lives. And there's a couple of guys in League One, Zech Obiero of Leyton Orient. I don't know the exact availability of all of these players, but they're all guys who have been kept in the squads for the first half of the season, but just have not consistently found minutes. And when you're 20, 21 years old, I think it's best to probably go out in the second half of the season. If you haven't found minutes at Orient in the first half of the season, you're probably not going to be in the plans massively for the second half of the season. Zek Obiero, I think, would be a really interesting option. Not quite the same player as Braybrook, but I think could offer quite a lot in and out of possession and add some energy to Newport's midfield. I'd be having a look at Tobias Brennan as well of Wigan. He started a couple of games at the start of the season, looked like quite an interesting player. He's pretty raw, to be honest with you, but he's athletic. He's positive on the ball. He gets around the pitch and wins the ball in the middle third. I think he'd be one to make inquiries about. While you're on the phone to Wigan, Newport, I'd be asking about Baba Adiko as well. I think his hamstrings are a bit of an issue at the moment, and he hasn't been in any squads for a month or two. But Adiko, when he's been fit and available for Wigan, the one thing you do know about him is he gets around the pitch and he wins the ball back. Again, pretty basic in possession, but that's fine. You're not going to be able to sign someone that's got it all if you're Newport in this window. A real long shot would be Law McCabe, who was on loan at Plymouth from Middlesbrough in the first half of the season. He got sent back recently. It didn't quite work out for him playing for an Argyle side that, to be fair, has just been very up and down this season. He's one of those guys who I think would be considered like too good for a League Two relegation battle. He's recently been playing for the England under-20 team, for example, and has been in Middlesbrough squads fairly consistently for the last few years. But I think when it comes down to it, he's about to turn 20, and at some point, this guy just needs to get minutes like Sammy Braybrook did. And I do think that's one where you call up Borough and you say, look what we did with Braybrook. We need a player of this quality in midfield. We can give him 90 minutes in every game from now to the end of the season, and then he's got minutes under his belt. So quite a few different types of option there. But the most important thing is that I really, really, as much as I like the work that Newport have done so far, I will be really disappointed if they get to the end of the window and they haven't signed a central midfield player to give them another option and another type in there. So let us know what you think in the comments. Newport County fans, are you happy with the business done so far? Are you as excited as I am about James Kroll? And what do you think about some of the names presented as central midfield options? Subscribe to the channel, please, and head to dragonsports.co.uk for all the best Welsh sports news.